I'm at the St. Augustine Light in St. Augustine, Florida. A lighthouse tower was completed in St. Augustine in 1824. It was built near the shoreline, just a little ways to the northeast of the location of the current lighthouse. Here, you can see old pilings that related to the 1824 lighthouse. Today, the tower ruins are a submerged archaeological site. The St. Augustine Lighthouse stands at the north end of Anastasia Island in St. Augustine. St. Augustine was founded way back in 1565 by the Spanish near the site of a former Native American village called Seloy. St. Augustine is the longest continuously occupied settlement of European origin in the United States. It was founded 40 years before Jamestown and 55 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. Historical records show that, dating back to 1586, both the Spanish and British governments operated aids to navigation at the site of the previously mentioned lighthouse tower, including wooden watchtowers. The lighthouse tower that was built in 1824 eventually reached a height of 76 feet. This lighthouse tower was built right on top of an old tower that the Spanish had constructed back in the 1730s. The old Spanish tower was at times referred to as a lighthouse in logbooks, maps, and charts as early as the 1760s. For its light, the 1824 lighthouse initially used multiple lamps with silver reflectors before getting a Fourth Order Fresnel Lens. Before long, that lighthouse started to have substantial problems with erosion. Fortunately, the current lighthouse was completed in 1874. This was well before the 1824 lighthouse tower fell down into the ocean due to erosion in 1880. The location for the current lighthouse was chosen due to its higher elevation and more stable ground on top of a nearby sand dune. This lighthouse is 165 feet tall. There are a total of 219 steps that lead to the top of the St. Augustine Lighthouse. This lighthouse has a First Order Fresnel Lens, which is the largest standard Fresnel lens that there is. The First Order Fresnel Lens is 12 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and completely handmade. The tower's lamp was converted from lard oil to kerosene in 1885. It was automated in 1955. The light from the First Order Fresnel Lens can be seen 25 miles out into the ocean. Besides being very tall, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is also very wide. Since the lighthouse was built with a very wide base, it allowed for the ascending staircase to steadily spiral all the way to the top. The steadily spiraling staircase makes it almost as easy to climb to the top as some other very tall but less tall lighthouses that I have visited before in Michigan, including Big Sable, Little Sable, Tawas Point, and Fort Gratiot. This is the city's oldest brick structure that's still around. This stretch of land is mostly made up of sand, dredged from the bottom of nearby waterways. All that appears on early maps are a few islands. Today, this stretch of land serves to protect the shoreline. This is St. Augustine's First Order Fresnel Lens. are a few of the buildings set about the beautiful lighthouse grounds. The Lighthouse Keepers House was built in 1876. It could house the head lighthouse keeper's family, the first assistant keeper, and the second assistant keeper. These barrels contained oil for the light.
Yeah, imagine carrying 30 pounds of
Let's take a quick look around the Lightkeepers House. This is a Lightkeepers library. This lighthouse is an active aid to navigation. I'm at the old fort in St. Augustine, Florida. This is Castillo de San Marcos National Monument. St. Augustine was founded by the Spanish in Florida as one of a series of presidios, which are fortified towns, to defend Spanish shipping and claims in the New World. 107 years after St. Augustine was founded in 1565, construction began on the large stone star-shaped fortress. This fort was started in 1672 and was completed being built in 1695. Castillo de San Marcos is Spanish for St. Mark's Castle. It is the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. It is located less than 2 miles to the northwest of the St. Augustine Lighthouse. Many Spanish forts were built at the site before the Castillo was constructed. These forts were built due to fears of attacks on St. Augustine, like when Sir Francis Drake attacked back in 1586 with his fleet of 22 ships. This fort is made of coquina stones, which have shells in them. Coquina is made of ancient small shells that have bonded together to form a sedimentary rock similar to limestone. The tower that was built in 1737 and added onto in 1824 was also made of coquina. The rooms of the fort once housed soldiers and prisoners, including many Native Americans. In 1702, 1728, and 1740, the British attacked the fort but were not able to capture it. However, after the Treaty of Paris in 1763, Florida became a British colony, so the British took possession of the fort. The fort was used by the British as a military prison during the Revolutionary War. In 1783, a second Treaty of Paris gave America's colonies north of Florida their well-earned independence. This treaty also called for Florida to be returned to Spain. Later, the Adams-Honest Treaty allowed for the transfer of the Spanish colonies of West and East Florida, which included St. Augustine and the fort, to the United States in 1821. These are some of the many cannons on the top deck. This oven superheated cannonballs to increase effectiveness when attacking invading wooden ships. These are some of the large rooms at the fort. The fort became a national monument in 1924. This is the historic district in St. Augustine. Here, I was doing research in the car before going to the St. Augustine Lighthouse.